Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are diving into a pretty radical idea, using artificial intelligence to tackle one of the biggest challenges we face, youth mental health. We're going to break down some fascinating research on how AI is being trained to support young people in crisis.
I mean, that sounds like something straight out of a sci-fi movie, right? But it's a question that's becoming very, very real. Today, we're going to get into how AI is being used to fight the youth mental health crisis, and how it's trying to offer help where our traditional systems are just bursting at the seams.
All right, here's how we're going to tackle this. First, we need to understand just how big this crisis is. Then we'll look at how AI is being pitched as a digital lifeline and, how it actually works. After that, we got to talk about the serious risks, and finally, what a safe and trustworthy future for this tech might look like. Let's get into it.
So first things first, to really get why we're even talking about AI for something so deeply human, you have to look at the reality on the ground. And honestly, the numbers are they're staggering.
I mean, just look at this number. Over $1 trillion. It's almost impossible to wrap your head around, right? And that's just the estimated economic cost from one study, in one single country. This covers everything from direct healthcare costs to the impact on families and society. It's immense.
And, a huge piece of this story is our digital lives. In Germany alone, for example, research found more than 600,000 young people showing signs of what's basically pathological media use or digital addiction. And that's a massive mental health risk factor all by itself.
And this isn't just some abstract problem. It is hitting our healthcare systems and hitting them hard. We're talking about a 65% jump in hospital admissions for youth mental health issues in just a decade. The system is clearly completely overwhelmed. So you've got this overwhelming demand for help in a traditional system that just can't keep up. It's like trying to stop a flood with a bucket. And that gap, that's exactly where technology and AI specifically is aiming to step in.
And this really lays out the core promise here. Think about all the reasons a young person might not reach out for help. They can't get an appointment, it costs too much, they're worried about what people might think. Well, AI is being designed to just smash right through those barriers. It's available 24/7, it's more affordable, it's anonymous, and it's there on demand.
And because of this, a whole new ecosystem of tools has just exploded onto the scene. You've got your wellness apps like Headspace or Calm. Then you have platforms like BetterHelp, which are kind of like an Uber for therapists. But then you get to the true AI tools, chatbots like Wysa and Wobot, which use established therapy principles, and even apps like EarKick that aim to be a full-blown AI therapist, using data to give you constant support.
Okay, so how does this tech actually work? I mean, this is where it gets really fascinating. How on earth can a computer algorithm learn to spot something as complex as human distress? Well, the answer is data, a mind-boggling amount of data.
It starts with our words. These AI models are fed enormous data sets of text, just like this anonymized sample here. They scan through millions of posts from places like online support forums, and they start to learn the patterns, the phrases and emotional tones that tend to show up with different mental health states.
And this is the really wild part. The AI isn't just looking for obvious words like sad. It's digging so much deeper, deconstructing our language for subtle clues. For instance, some studies show that an increased use of I and me can correlate with depression. It's analyzing everything from the emotional sentiment of the text to how logically connected the ideas are. It's incredible, really.
But it goes way beyond just the words we type. The next level is this thing called digital phenotyping. This is where our own devices become passive monitors. Your phone's GPS data can show if you stopped going out. Its accelerometer can track changes in your activity levels. Your phone is basically creating this constant stream of behavioral data just by being in your pocket.
And that right there, that immense power to collect and analyze our most personal data, brings us to the core conflict of this whole thing. The unbelievable promise of this technology is matched only by its profound risk. We are walking into a massive ethical minefield.
So what are the biggest fears? Well, no surprise, data breaches are at the top of the list. Can you imagine this kind of information getting leaked? Behind that is the fact that there's a huge lack of regulation. It's kind of the Wild West out there. And then you have these massive issues of algorithmic bias, and of course whether an AI can ever provide truly authentic support. And let's be clear, these are not just what-if scenarios. They are already happening. The Crisis Text Line, a service that is supposed to be a safe space, was caught sharing sensitive user data with a for-profit company. A breach of trust like that can completely shatter the foundation these tools are built on. And a huge part of the problem is that our laws are just struggling to catch up. Regulations like HIPAA, for instance, were designed for data sitting in your doctor's office, not for the constant stream of data coming from a wellness app on your phone. This creates a gigantic gap in our privacy protections. Okay, so with all that promise and all that peril, what's the path forward? How do we actually harness the amazing benefits of this technology while building the guardrails we need to protect ourselves from the very real dangers?
The research proposes a pretty clear framework. It all starts with creating new regulations actually built for this new technology. It also insists on keeping a human in the loop, a real expert who can oversee the AI. It demands transparency, so we're not just dealing with a black box. And maybe most critically, it all hinges on using high-quality, unbiased data, so we don't end up just programming our own prejudices into the system.
Now, if we can get all of that right, it could lead to this truly mind-bending concept, the digital twin. Imagine a complete virtual model of your health, updated in real time. Clinicians could test different therapies on your digital twin first to see how you might react, before ever trying them in the real world. It's the ultimate vision of predictive, hyper-personalized healthcare. And that brings us right back to our big question, but maybe with a bit of a new spin. As this AI gets more sophisticated, more integrated, and hopefully more responsible, the very definition of what a therapist is could fundamentally change. So the question isn't just whether an algorithm can understand sadness, but what our role is going to be alongside it in the future of mental health care.